In this video, I'll be going over how to find the greatest common factor. Before finding out the greatest common factors, we need to know what are composite numbers and what are prime numbers. Composite numbers are multiple numbers more than one in itself, whereas prime numbers are only one in itself. So, in this case, we have 12 and 20. To find out the greatest common factor, what we'll do is we'll list a sequence of factors for each number. For 12, we can list out 1 because 1 times 12 is 12. Then we can also list out 2 because 2 times 6 equals 12. And 3 will also work because 3 times 4 is 12. And 4 works because 4 times 3 is 12. Next will be 6 because 6 times 2 is 12. And then lastly, 12, which is itself, is just 12 times 1. These numbers above, they don't mean anything. It's mainly just for your reference on how we get these numbers. So we want to do the same thing also for 20. So we have 1 because 1 times 20, and 2 because 2 times 10 is 20. 3 doesn't work. 4 times 5 is 20. Now 5 times 4, also 20. 6 doesn't work. 7 doesn't work. 8 doesn't work. 9 doesn't work. Then we next is 10 because 10 times 2 is 20. And lastly, we have 20, which is 20 times 1. So now that we have completed the factor list, what we want to do next is to figure out what is the greatest common factor. So between 12 and 1, we can see 1 is available. So and 2 is also common. Then we have 4, and there's no more for the rest. So the greatest common factor for 12 and 20 would be 4, because these two are the greatest number that they have in common. Now what about this one? To go through the same process, we're going to find the factor list. Starting with 18 will be 1, 2 times 9, 3 is 3 times 6, 4 doesn't work, 5 doesn't work, 6 times 3. Next is 9 because 9 times 2. And lastly, 18 is 18 times 1. Initially, you could list these multiplication out if you want, or if you could do it in your head, you may do so. So for the number 6, 1 will always be available, 1 times 6. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 2, 6. Okay, and then lastly, we have 6. Okay, so let's compare the common factors. We have 1, 2, 3, 6, and that looks like number 6 is the greatest common factor that we could find from both numbers. So the GCF, greatest common factor in this case, is 6. Here's another one. Again, listing out the factor list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. Okay, and then we have 36. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, and 36. Okay, so what is the greatest common factor? Let's take a look at all the common factors. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12, and that's it. So 12 would be our greatest common factor. Here is the next one. And feel free to pause the video if you would like to figure this out before the answer is revealed. So now we have 8 and 32, which we need the factor list. For 8, we have 1, 2, 4, and then 8. For 32, we have 2, 4, 8, 16, and then 32. Okay, and the greatest common factor in this case, 1 is here, 2, 4, 8. So 8 would be the greatest common factor. So these 4 are examples of how you would find the greatest common factors. Hopefully this is very helpful, and thank you for watching.